Hello, good morning students. Today we will we are going to start a new subject. New subject is your microeconomics. Microeconomics, somewhere it's known as your business economics, that we are going to start. Let me write the topic, that is your microeconomics. It is a basic paper of management, it is a basic paper of commerce student actually, that is your microeconomics. You should understand that microeconomics. When we talk about microeconomics, it is a core paper of become syllabus. It's a paper of all the professional classes. Very important paper, very exciting paper, very interesting paper. So, in microeconomics, let me tell you the course highlights, let me tell you the units, the chapters that we will cover in course of our journey of microeconomics. In chapter 1 of microeconomics, we will study about demand. Our discussion will start from demand. We will talk about demand, we will study about law of demand, we will study about elasticity of demand, we will study about indifference curve, we will study about indifference curve properties, we will study about all these things in detail. So, your chapter 1 basically consists of demand and indifference curve. Demand and indifference curve. Well, I will tell you everything in detail. We move to second chapter. Second chapter mainly consists of the concept related to production and cost. The second chapter mainly consists of production and cost. In production, you will know, you will study what is production, what are the factors of production, what are the different types of production function, short-term production function, long-run production functions. So, that we will discuss in production, and we will discuss about the cost chapter, different types of cost, fixed cost, variable cost, money cost, real costs, semi-variable costs, implicit cost, explicit cost, short-run cost, long-run cost. We will discuss throughout the cost. Production and cost are the important parts of the analysis of the second chapter discussion. In chapter 3, we will start about market. Market on the basis of competition. Markets are classified under various heads. Markets on the basis of place can be classified as local market, can be classified as national market, can be classified as international market. Market that we are going to study under microeconomics is the classification of market on the basis of competition. So, I will discuss about, in chapter 3, we will discuss about the first market, that is a perfect competition. So, chapter 3 will be dealing with the market that is related to the market of perfect competition. Then in chapter 4, your last chapter, we will discuss about your market of imperfect competition. You understood? Chapter 3 deals with the market of perfect competition, and chapter 4 will deal with the market of imperfect competition. So, this is your course highlights for your microeconomics. First, I told you that first chapter deals with your demand, law of demand, elasticity of demand, indifference curve analysis. That is the end of the chapter 1. Second chapter, we will discuss about your production and cost. Third chapter will be focusing about market, perfect competition market. And last chapter, fourth chapter, will be focusing about the market of imperfect competition. In the sense, if we analyze the imperfect competition, then we will be having your monopoly competition, monopoly market, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly market. So, that is the broad analysis of your syllabus or course highlights. So, today we will start the topic of your chapter 1, and the topic will be related to your demand. Your starting, the economics of microeconomics starts from the topic, that is your demand. Before going to demand, let me tell you about something. I will give you some idea about economics, actually the importance of economics. You should understand that economics is a subject from our stream, but it's immensely useful, it's highly practically applicable for all the management streams. You go for BCom, economics is there. You go for MCom, economics is there. You go for plus 2 commerce, economics is also subject. You go for professional syllabuses like MBA, BBA, chartered accountant, cost accounting, company secretary, wherever you go, economics is a vital part of the management. Economics and management go side by side. So, you should understand the importance of economics in your subject curriculum. So, I request to all my students, to all my dear students, that they should think economics as a practical subject, they should think economics as the important subject, core subject, and they should give importance equally as they giving importance to their other subjects like your accountings, law, management, business studies, all these things like that. So economics, before going to the concept of demand, your chapter 1 starts with the concept of demand. Before going to demand, let me give you something idea about economics. What is economics actually? First of all, let me tell you that it is a social science. Economics is a social science. Everything, every subject you are studying, first of all, it is a social science. Social science in the sense actually, it is first of all, it should be useful for the society. It is a science related to the study of society. That is why economics is called social science. Economics is a social science that studies about production, that studies about consumption, that studies about exchange, that studies about distribution. 4 concepts I told you, very important points I told you. Economics is a social science that study about consumption, that study about production, that study about exchange, that study about distribution. So the first concept comes to our mind when you talk about economics, that is your production. What do you mean by production? Production means what? Creation of utility. When a producer gives some utility to a commodity, to a good, that is called production. Production means creation of utility, creating utility. Creating utility is nothing but it is called production. Production is the task of a producer. Production is the task of a producer. His responsibility is to produce. His responsibility is to produce. After production, there is a consumption. Consumption means your destruction of utility. Consumption is the task of the consumer. When it is the responsibility of the consumer that how to use a commodity. In course of using a commodity, the satisfaction goes on declining. So you should understand that whereas the job of a producer is to create utility, the job of a consumer is to destroy utility in course of the use. You understood it? I think you hope you understood. आपको समझ में आ जाएगा what is production, what is consumption. Then I told you about your exchange of goods against goods. Before money come to picture, there was barter system. People are exchanging goods against goods. That is called barter system. Now we have a monetary system. Everything we exchange in terms of money. Money is playing an important role. Without money, no money can live actually. Everything that we are producing, that is now exchanged in terms of money. We go to the market, we give money and we purchase goods and services. Any seller is going to the market, he will sell any commodity and he will take money. So in our day-to-day life now, money becomes practical and money now becomes a medium of exchange. We should understand that nowadays the economy that we are living, that is called your monetary economy. So you should understand production, you understand consumption, you understand exchange. Then the last part you will talk about your distribution. Last part you will talk about your distribution part. Distribution in the sense, distribution of national income. Distribution of national income. In your school level, you understood that what is your national income. National income means the value of goods, the value of services produced in the country in a financial year. The all total income of all the factors, the all total income of everybody is called a national income. So distribution means sharing of national income is called distribution. So economics is a social science. The studies about consumption, the studies about production, first of all production, then consumption, production, consumption, distribution and exchange. That is the actually subject matter of economics. So economics has different meanings. It has been defined by many economists from time to time. But you should understand that what it actually means for. Nowadays actually it's playing an important role. Nowadays actually it's playing an important vital role. And in the sense, now economics is also defined as the science, it is social science I told you. Economics starts from economic activity. Economics starts from economic activity of a man. Economic activity, what is the meaning of economic activity? Activity of earning, activity of spending, activity how to get income, activity how to spend income, that is called economic activity. A person when earns something for his livelihood, when a person gets his income, when a person earns something for his livelihood and spends something, then that is called economic activity. Economic activity is purely related to man, every activity. Economic activities and non-economic activities, which I told you. So economy starts from economic activity of a man. Then economic activity starts from a want. You should understand very important points come here. Want. Want means desire. So you start economics. We think about economics when you think about a want, a desire. A desire. Want lead to effort. When you desire something, you put your effort and your effort leads to satisfaction. So we can say want. So we can say want lead to effort, effort lead to satisfaction. That is the meaning of want. So when you think about economics, then your starting point comes from wants. In economics, one point you have to remember that human wants are unlimited. Human wants are unlimited. There is no limit to our desire. There is no limit to our wants. Even you ask superstar Salman Khan, even you ask superstar Amitabh Bachchan, then also you can say that their wants, their desires are unlimited. So in economics, human wants are unlimited. Human wants are limitless. But on the other hand, resources are limited. Resources to satisfy the needs are limited. You understood? In economics, everything starts from wants. The origin of economics starts from a want. Let me write that. The origin of economics starts from a want. And it is told that human wants are unlimited. But resources are limited. You have to remember the two lines over here. Human wants are unlimited, but resources to satisfy are limited. We have multiple wants, but we can't fulfill all the wants in the same time because the resources are very limited. This is the subject matter of economics, that human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. Even you ask somebody else, he will tell that I have a number of wants, but he can't fulfill all his wants at the same time because the resources are very limited. This is the subject matter you should understand. This is the study of economics. Everything, economics start from a want lead to effort, effort lead to satisfaction. I told you, economics is a social science that deals with production, consumption, distribution, and exchange. So, economics is a social science, I told you, that deals with production, consumption, distribution, and exchange. So, for your introduction, as you are new to economics, I have given some introduction about that. That economics is a study about this. Economics start from our wants, want lead to effort, effort lead to satisfaction. And in economics, you should remember that human wants are unlimited and resources are limited. So now we just this is your short, brief introduction about economics. In course of our discussion, we will discuss everything. So now let me go about today's topic. That you will start from your chapter 1. Then the chapter 1, the topic that we will discuss about today's chapter is your demand. What we will discuss? Your demand. Very important topic, very interesting topic. Let me tell you that. Demand is very interesting. Topic of demand is very interesting. Now I will tell you the fundamental things. Demand. Demand in ordinary thing is a different thing. Demand in economics is different thing. Demand in economics means desire for a commodity. What do you understand? Demand in economics means desire for a commodity. Demand in economics means desire for a commodity backed by willingness to pay and capacity to pay. So when you expect something, when a person expects something, when a person thinks something, when a person desires something, from there this is the starting point of demand. But that is not called demand. He must have sufficient purchasing power, he must have capacity to pay, and he must have willingness to pay. That you should understand. Demand in economics means desire for a commodity backed by willingness to pay and capacity to pay. Let me write that. Demand in economics refers to desire for a commodity backed by willingness to pay and capacity to pay. You should understand the 2 points over here, that demand means desire for a commodity. When you expect something, when you think something, that is the demand that can be fulfilled subject to the fulfillment of willingness to pay and capacity to pay. For example, you think about a conjuice, you think about a miser. What is the miser? A miser is having capacity to pay is there, but he doesn't have willingness to pay. माइजर के पास क्या होता है? कैपेसिटी टू पे होता है, बट विलिंगनेस टू पे इच्छा नहीं, उसके साथ इच्छा से नहीं होता है पेमेंट करने के लिए। इसलिए एक माइजर के पास डिमांड फुलफिल नहीं होता है, क्योंकि उसके पास कैपेसिटी है, देने के लिए कैपेसिटी है, एबिलिटी है, बट उनके पास देने के लिए विलिंगनेस नहीं रहता है। दैट इज वाई ए माइजर के पास, एक कंजूस के पास डिमांड कभी फुलफिल नहीं होते। लेट अस टेक अदरवाइज, यू थिंक अबाउट ए स्ट्रीट beggar. A beggar have willingness to pay, but he doesn't have the capacity to pay. एक beggar के पास एबिलिटी नहीं होता है, पेमेंट करने के लिए एबिलिटी नहीं होता है, पेमेंट करने के लिए कैपेसिटी नहीं होता है। दैट इज वाई ए beggar also cannot fulfill his demand. So what I want to tell you that to fulfill demand in economics, you need both the things to be go simultaneously. At the same time, you must have capacity to pay and willingness to pay. Then only you can fulfill your demand. If you want to go for a movie, then you must have 500 rupees or 300 rupees or 400 rupees in your pocket, and you must have the desire to spend that. You must have the desire to pay that ticket for movie and some other expenditure. Then only your demand for the movie can be fulfilled. Otherwise, your demand cannot be fulfilled. Understood? So this is the ordinary meaning of demand. This is the actual meaning of demand. Now, after knowing the concept of demand, let me go to some fundamental thing. Who will demand actually? Who will make that demand? Now, let me talk about that. When you talk about microeconomics, when you talk about demand, you should know about the consumers. So, demand comes from the origin of it is the consumer who makes demand. It is the consumers who make demand. In economics, it is important for you to understand the difference between consumers and producers. दो ग्रुप्स, एक कंज्यूमर्स एक प्रोड्यूसर्स। You understood? Consumers are the groups, one group, and producers are the other groups. There are two opposite groups, consumers and producers. So it is the consumers who makes always demand. Why? Consumers, who are consumers? I am a consumer, you are a consumers, all are consumers. Everybody you see, they are consumers. Why? Because every day, right from the starting, right from the morning, all their activities are a part of consumption. You understand? I am a consumer, you are a consumer, everybody around you are a consumer. All persons are consumers, all individuals are consumer. Because every day the activity they start, the activity they end, that is related to consumption. Subah utna, for example, when you get up early in the morning, you brush, that is the consumption. You use your toothpaste, that is the activity of consumption. You go for breakfast, that is consumption. You go for lunch, that is consumption. You go for writing, that is consumption. You use a market, that is consumption. You use a mobile, that is a consumption. You go for a bicycle, that is consumption. You go for a car, that is also consumption. So you should understand, consumers have the responsibility for the consumption and producers have the responsibility of production. प्रोडक्शन का responsibility किसके ऊपर है ना? प्रोड्यूसर के ऊपर है. So consumers and producers. It is the consumers who will make demand. It is the producer who will make the supply. You understand? Very interesting point. Consumers and producers. Consumers will make demand, producers will make supply. Understood? Consumer demand करते हैं क्योंकि consumers जैसे कि मैंने बताया, consumers का task क्या होता है? consumption. Producer का task क्या होता है? production. So what is consumption? The activity, the task performed by consumers is known as your consumption. The activity performed by known as your consumption. The activity performed by the producers is known as your production. The activity performed by producers is known as production. Let me write that. One is your producer, production, consumer, then consumption. So the activity performed by consumers is known as consumption. The activity performed by the producer is known as your production. तो इसका मतलब क्या होता है? Consumer, when a consumer consumes something actually, When a consumer something consume something. Consume in the sense when a consumer use some commodity, use a good, that is called consumption. I use a market, that is called consumption. Because when I use a market, I use the utility. I use the utility of the market. I use the utility of the market. So consumption is nothing but the destruction of utility. Consumption is nothing but the destruction of the utility, and production is nothing but the creation of utility. Production is nothing but the creation of utility, and consumption is nothing but the destruction of utility. When we use a commodity, we are destroying the utility of the commodity. Destroying here doesn't mean the damaging, spoiling, something like that. Destruction doesn't mean damaging or spoiling, something like that. Destruction means when we use something, then the satisfaction power, the utility of the commodity goes on declining. That is called consumption. That is called destruction. A producer, what he does? A producer adds some utility. A producer adds some utility in a good. When a log of wood is lying in the river bank, when a log of wood is lying in the river bank, that is not called production. When a producer takes that and makes chairs and tables out of the wood, that is called production. Because he creates some utility over that. Because he adds some utility over that. That is called production. So this is the fundamental distinction you should understand between production and consumption. I told you that consumption, it is the consumers who will make demand, it is the producers who will make supply. Understand? And one more point. The objective of a consumer, the aim of a consumer, economics, you should understand. The aim of a consumer, all are consumers but all are not producers. Let me tell you that, one point, very important point. All are consumers, I told you. All individuals are consumers. You are a consumer, I am a consumer. All individuals are consumers, but all are not producers. All are consumers in the sense, every day they get up, they start the activity of consumption, but they are not producers. To be a producer, you need some talents, you need some qualities like innovations, like dynamic leadership, like taking decision making, like risk taking. So a producer is a person who always likes to take risks, who always like to have a dynamic leadership, who always takes business decision, and who always does innovation in the production process. That is why all are consumers but all are not producers, because all do not possess the quality of the producers. That is why. But a producer must be a consumer. A producer, first of all, he is a consumer, then only he is a producer. When a new baby is born, then he is a consumer. After some time, if he acquires some qualities, then he might be a producer. So, now I told you about consumption and production. The consumer's objective, the objective of a consumer is to get maximum satisfaction. The aim of a consumer is to get maximum satisfaction, and the aim of a producer is to get maximum profit. The aim of a consumer is to get maximum satisfaction, and the aim of a producer is to get maximum profit. Chalo. So this is the fundamental thing I want to clear before starting about demand. You know the meaning of demand in economics. I told you demand in economics refers to desire for a commodity backed by willingness to pay and capacity to pay. You understood? Chalo. Demand, let us talk about your demand function. Your demand, a function of price. Demand of a commodity is influenced by many factors. Demand of a commodity is influenced by many factors. It is not a single valued function. It is a multi-valued function. Demand of a commodity is likely to be affected by many factors. You should understand. There is a question for you: demand and factors influencing demand, or demand and its determinants. Let me tell you that demand of a commodity is influenced by many factors, and when you are going to establish the relationship between demand and the factors influencing demand, that is called your demand function. So a question will come in an examination. You have a short questions, you have a 1 mark questions, you have 2 mark questions, you have 5 mark questions. Let me tell you that you have long questions. So in your examination there is a variety of questions. So you should prepare for all the types of questions. So a question is there for you. What is demand? I told you. A question again is there for you. What is demand function? Means what is demand function means what is the relationship between demand and other factors. Demand is not a single valued function. Demand is influenced by many factors. डिमांड एक सिंगल फैक्टर के पास इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं होता है. डिमांड को इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए एक से ज़्यादा फैक्टर रहते हैं. सो लेट मी राइट यू दैट डिमांड इज ए इन्फ्लुएंस बाय मैनी फैक्टर्स. इट इज इन्फ्लुएंस बाय प्राइस ऑफ द कमोडिटी. द फर्स्ट फैक्टर, लेट मी राइट यू दैट Demand is a function of price of the commodity, price of related goods, then your income, then your taste, then climate, then population, then future expectation of price rise, then your demonstration effect. So, like this we will write. Demand function means the relationship between demand of a commodity and its factors is called your demand function. Demand of a commodity is influenced by many factors. The first factor, let me write you that, factors influencing demand. The first factor to influence your demand is your price of the commodity. Second factor, price of related goods. Third factor, income of the consumer. Then your taste and preference. Then comes your climate. Population. Future price, then comes your demonstration effect. So let us know that what are the factors that influence demand of a commodity. Price of the commodity. The first factor, the important factor to influence demand of a commodity is the price of a commodity. The first factor, the important factor first of all to influence the demand of a commodity is your price. There is an interesting relationship between demand and price of the commodity. When you go to the market, what actually happens? When price of a commodity is high, mentally we are prepared to purchase less. You understood that? When the price of a commodity is market high, now you go to the market, tomato is now costing you 50 rupees. Tomato is costing you 50 rupees. So definitely we are bothered to purchase 2 kg of tomato. We can't purchase 2 kg of tomato. Mentally we are not prepared to purchase 5 kg of tomato because the price of tomato is 50 rupees. Before from the days it was costing you 20 rupees. So when the price of a commodity is high, definitely we will purchase less. And when the price of a commodity is less, then we will purchase high. This is the relation between the price of a commodity and the demand. So there always exists an inverse relationship between price of the commodity and its demand. We have a separate discussion. After discussing about this question, we have a separate discussion, and the separate discussion we will study about the law of demand. In the law of demand, we will discuss about the interesting chemistry between price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. And now we have seen what is the relationship. The relationship between price and quantity demanded is inverse. When you go to the market, when the price of a commodity is high, we purchase less, and when the price of a commodity is less, we purchase more. So you have to understand that this is the chemistry that exists between the price of a commodity and its demand. And the first factor, the important factor to determine demand of a commodity is the price of a commodity, and the relationship between price and demand is always inverse. The relationship between price and other commodity, the price and demand is always inverse. When price falls, our demand rises. Our means consumer demand. I have told you that demand is a point belongs to the consumers. I have written that demand is a point that belongs to the consumers. So when the price of a commodity rises, quantity demanded falls. When the price of a commodity falls, quantity demanded rises. This is your first point. So as we are discussing that our demand is influenced by price of the commodity, first factor. Second point comes here, that price of related goods. It is very important for you to understand the second point, because the second point itself carries a very short questions are there. Price of related goods. In economics, related goods are very important. In economics, related goods are two types. You understand? In economics, related goods are two types. One will be your substitute goods and other will be your complementary. In economics, related goods are two types. One is your substitute goods, one is your complementary good. Let me tell you that. What do you mean by substitute goods? Substitute goods are those goods which can be replaced by each other. So substitute goods are those goods which can be replaced by each other. Take for example tea and coffee. We can use coffee in place of tea and we can use tea in place of coffee. It's like either or, ball pen or gel pen, rice or breads. So what I want to tell, I told you the meaning of substitute good. I given the example of substitute good, tea or coffee, rice or bread, and the last part is that very important. The price of a good influence the demand of other. You have to understand, while you talk about this one, you should understand the price of one substitute commodity influence the demand of other substitute commodity. Take for example tea and coffee. Let us go for tea and coffee. Price of tea is 5 rupees, price of coffee is 7 rupees. Tea and coffee are substitute goods because they can be replaced by each other. We can either go for tea or we can either go for coffee. Not an issue for that. The price of tea is 5 rupees, price of coffee is 10 rupees. Before, tea is consumed by 50%, coffee is consumed by 50%. There are 50 consumers who are taking tea, there are 50 consumers who are taking coffee. Now, let us think. The price of coffee falls to 7 rupees. The price of coffee falls to 7 rupees. So what will happen? Naturally, if the coffee is a better product than tea, a coffee is a better good than tea. When the price of coffee falls, people from tea will switch over to coffee. There will be minus 10. There is a plus 10. So what will happen? The demand for coffee will rise and the demand for tea will fall. The demand for coffee will 60, the demand for tea will be 40. So what happened? When the price of a substitute good falls, the quantity demand of other good rises. When the price of a substitute good falls like coffee, the quantity demand of tea rises. It is important for you to remember that in case of related goods, you are making the relationship between price of the one good with the quantity of other. You are not making the relationship between price of the good with the quantity of that good only. Not like that. In case of related goods, in case of substitute goods, in case of complementary goods, you are making the relationship between the price of one commodity with the quantity of other commodity. So I told you, when the price of coffee falls, the quantity of the demand of tea also falls. Let us talk about complementary goods. What do you mean by complementary goods? Complementary goods are those goods which can be jointly demanded. Complementary goods are those goods which are jointly consumed at the same time. At the same time, you need the two goods to satisfy your want. Complementary goods are those goods that you need at the same time. You need couple of goods to satisfy one, like bike and petrol. Without petrol, your bike is meaningless. Without petrol, your bike is useless. That is why bike and petrol are called complementary goods. Car and petrol, pen and refill, they are known as your complementary goods. So I told you, you need jointly two goods to satisfy your satisfaction of writing, your desire of writing can be fulfilled when you will come with pen and refill. That is why they are called as complementary goods. So when you talk about complementary goods, take for example bike and petrol, what will happen? Bike is costing you 70,000 rupees, petrol is costing you 70 rupees, 70,000 liter. And the price of bike is 70,000 rupees. Take for example the price of demand of petrol is 70,000 liter. Let us take the price of bike has slashed down to 60,000. The price of bike has come down to 60,000. Obviously, when the price of bike falls, there is a huge demand of bike. Bike का demand अभी बढ़ जाएगा. पहले से bike का demand बढ़ जाएगा. So when the price of bike falls, then the demand of bike will rise. But you are not studying the relationship between the price of bike and price of demand. You have to study the relationship between the price of the bike with the quantity of petrol. So naturally, when the price of bike will fall, there will be the demand, the demand for bike will go up. When the demand for bike will go, the demand for petrol will also go. You understood? When the price of bike falls, the demand for petrol goes. What is the relation? The relation is inverse. In case of complementary goods, the relationship between price of a commodity and the demand of a commodity is inverse, negative, opposite. In case of a substitute good, the relationship between price of a good and the quantity demand of other is positive. I am repeating once again. When you talk about complementary goods, when you talk about bike, if the price of bike falls, the demand of petrol will rise, and if the price of bike rises, the demand for petrol will fall. This is your point number 2. Let us come to point number 3, income of the consumer. Simple point. It is simple that persons with low income, their demand is very low. Persons with high income, their demand is very high. When a person is having an income of 5,000 rupees, he can only dream of taking chicken of 2 kg or 3 kg per month. जिसका इनकम ज़्यादा होता है, उसका डिमांड ज़्यादा होता है. उनका डिमांड, इनकम कम होता है, उनका डिमांड भी कम होता है. So, income of a consumer is normally positively related to the demand of the commodity. When income rises, demand also rises. When income falls, demand also falls. In case of normal goods, income of the consumer is related directly. When income will rise, demand will also rise. When income will fall, demand will fall. We will talk about other things in detail. In course of time, we will be elastic demand. But for the timing, you remember that income of the consumer is directly related to the demand. When income will rise, simple point. When income will rise, your demand will rise. When income will fall, demand will also fall. Next, it is quite natural. Taste and preference. When some items, when some good have a taste, it is a favorable impact on the demand. When some item, when some goods have a good taste, when you are talking that some items are tasty, then they have a favorable impact on demand. They have a favorable impact on the demand. When you are telling that some items are not up to the standard, when some items are not of good taste, then it have a unfavorable impact on the demand. It means, I want to tell that when some item have a taste, then it have a positive impact on the demand, demand rises. When some item doesn't have a taste up to the mark, when some item doesn't have a good taste, then it is a negative impact on the demand. It means the demand falls. Tests have a both positive impact and negative impact on the demand. Good items with good taste have a positive impact. Bad items with bad taste have a negative demand. So taste and preference. Next comes your climate. Climate also plays a vital role in demand of the commodity. In summer, we have a different types of climate. In summer season, you are experiencing there is a huge demand of cold drinks. In summer season, there is a huge demand of cold drinks and there is huge demand for cotton garments. People prefer to have cotton garments, cotton clothes in summer, and they want to have more cold drinks like that. Exactly, on other hand, when you talk about winter, जब आपका विंटर का मौसम आता है, एक्चुअली इसमें क्या होता है, गर्मी के मौसम में हम कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स प्रेफर करते हैं, गर्मी के मौसम में हम ज़्यादातर कॉटन आइटम्स पहनना पसंद करते हैं. व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट विंटर डेज आते हैं, जब व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट विंटर, देन पीपल हैव टू वांट टू हैव हॉट ड्रिंक्स, पीपल वांट टू हैव हॉट ड्रिंक्स लाइक टी एंड कॉफी, एंड दे वांट टू हैव योर woolen garments like that. People, so we can say that in summer days there is huge demand for cotton garments and cold drinks, and in winter days there is huge demand for hot drinks and woolen garments. So I want to tell you that the demand changes from climate to climate. The demand changes from season to season. The demand changes from time to time. Something which is demanded in summer, that is not demanded in winter, and something that is demanded in winter, that is not demanded in summer. So the demand changes from time to time, from season to season, from month to month. That is the point for your climate. One more important point, that is your population of a country. This is a very quite natural point that in India we are experiencing a huge population growth. That is why our demand for every good rises. In India, there is huge population growth. Currently, we support 135 crores of population, but at the growth of 1.6% per annum, almost approximately nearly 2 crores of population we add each and every year. That is why accordingly there is huge demand for food, clothing, shelter and other necessities. A person for survival, a person for living require food, clothing and shelter. Nowadays we are living in a modern society. A person cannot be happy with the only basic needs. So he has to fulfill other necessities for his survival. That is why a more population means more demand. When you talk about population, more population means more demand of all the goods. Less population means less demands of all the goods. It's quite natural. The country with less population, demand remains low. A country with more population, demand goes more. Australia, country with 2 crores population, there is a 2 crores of population. Accordingly, there is less demand. India with a huge population, we require always much demand because populations for survival needs basic needs like food, clothing and shelter and other items. Future price, take for example. Let us talk about future price. This is one more important point. This is one more important point, influencing demand. I am talking, remember one thing, I am talking about the factors influencing demand. When you demand something, when you think something, when you expect something, उसके ऊपर क्या प्रभाव पड़ता है? What are the factors? What are the elements influencing, determining the demand of a commodity? That is your future price. Take for example, now the price of a commodity is high. Now the price of a commodity is high. Some item, you think that. Take for example, the price of an item, price of a commodity now is very high. After 5 days, you get the information that the commodity is becoming a little cheaper. Now the price of a commodity is high. After some days, you think that the price of the commodity is likely go to fall. The price of the commodity will fall in future. So what will happen to future current demand? Now you will demand less because you know that after 5 days the price will fall. So after 5 days when the price will fall, you will demand more. You understood? This is the point of future price expectation. Future price expectation. I am repeating that once again. Take for example, now the price of a commodity is high. As a consumer, you know that when the price of a commodity is high, you can't purchase. So you expect that after 5 or 7 days, take for example, the price of a commodity is going to fall in future after 5 or 7 days. So what will be your reaction to demand? Definitely what you will do, now you will wait for the 5 days or 7 days for the price to fall. When the price will fall after 5 days, your demand will increase in that after 5 days. But now your demand will fall. Now your demand will fall because you know that after 5 days the item will be cheaper. The price will fall. So you will target for future and now you will have less demand. Now you will demand less. So the point is that if a commodity's price, if the price of a commodity is expected to fall in future, then currently the demand will be less and in future the demand will be more. Understood? So the future price is also a point for your factors influencing demand. And the last point we will talk about your demonstration effect. People have demand, people are making demand, people are purchasing some items by following others. People are purchasing some items by following others. So when you purchase something by following others, by following your neighbors, by following your friends, then that is called your demonstration effect. So when some items have good demonstration effect, when we can say when people follow some items by following neighbors, by following others, then the demand of the commodity will be relatively high one. So that is the point for demonstration effect. So we have discussed about demand, we have discussed about the factors influencing demand. And in the beginning of the class, I have given some idea about what is economics. Economics is a social science that deals with production and consumption, distribution and exchange. Economics is something that starts from wants. Economics is something that start from want. Want means desire. Desire lead to effort. When you desire something, you have to put your effort, and your effort will lead to satisfaction. Want lead to effort. Effort lead to satisfaction. So in economics, you have to remember that human wants are unlimited. When you remember about want, then also you have to remember 2 points here. Human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. So our entire course of discussion in economics relate to 2 things. That is, your human wants are unlimited and resources are limited, and we have to adjust between the resources. And your syllabus starts from demand, concept of demand, factors influencing demand. In our next class of discussion, we will talk about the different law of demand. And before the starting of the demand, I told you about the introduction part, that is your consumers. It's important for you to understand that who makes demand. It is the consumers who make demand. Then we will study about supply. Who makes supply? It is the producers who will make supply. Why consumers will make demand? Because consumers have an ultimate goal, because consumers have a desire in their mind to get maximum satisfaction. The aim of a consumer is to get maximum satisfaction, and to get maximum satisfaction, a consumer always makes a demand. And what is demand? Demand means desire for a commodity backed by willingness to pay and capacity to pay. I hope that you have understood all the concepts very clearly. I think in the next class we will continue our discussion further. Till then, it's goodbye from me, and hope you thank you very much for your support and your patience. Thank you.